Do you see Old Testament survey there? Is that what you guys are seeing?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. Okay. So your presentations have all been great. So if you could get your notes out and just jot down these notes. I think we got through Psalms, right?
Yes.
Micah, didn't we do all the notes for Psalms?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
So I'm going to just give you these notes, and you could just jot these things down. I'm not going to even say much about it, but I did actually quite a bit of study in the book of Proverbs a couple years ago. I preached through Proverbs. So I hope that these might be helpful to you if you ever study Proverbs. But I like the definition of Proverbs. It's a short but salty statement drawn from long experience to teach wisdom, form character, encourage an obedient relationship with the Lord. And then I really have, in this opening section, the first 7 verses of Proverbs kind of lay a foundation. The process of grasping a proverb, we need wisdom. And wisdom I define as the skillful application of the knowledge of God to the moral and complex realities of life. So I'm being conformed to the image of Christ. So, and again, I've heard a lot of definitions on wisdom. I've thought a lot about it. So that's, I think, a good definition about wisdom. The skillful application of the knowledge of God. Okay. Did you get all those blanks? Is that enough time? Okay. Then we have the student-son relationship. That's A. Okay. So who is the book of Proverbs for? It's for the students and son. That's A. It's for the teacher. It's for the wise man. Okay. That's on page 31. And that's in Proverbs, also chapter 1. Those first 7 verses really lay a foundation for the entire book of Proverbs. Okay. The foundational principle of Proverbs is the fear of the Lord. And the fear of the Lord, I define that as the joyful wonder before the greatness of who God is, which leads us to bow before him in loving obedience. The fear of the Lord. You know, we often hear it is reverence for God. It's leading to obedience. But that's how I define the fear of the Lord there. Okay. And then, of course, on the next page, Jesus is our wisdom. Now, if you look at the outline just real quick, so part 1 in Proverbs, it's really in instruction. These first chapters, they're not individual proverbs, but they're more in units, sections, and units. So these are sometimes referred to as the gateway chapters, also to the sentence proverbs. And then the sentence proverbs begin in chapter 10, and the sentence proverbs of Solomon, and then various sayings of wise men, and then, of course, the famous last chapter. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of Proverbs, God's wisdom handbook, learning to live skillfully. Okay, Ecclesiastes, the author of is Solomon also. The purpose, and Barani did a really good presentation in Ecclesiastes. The purpose is to show the vanity of life without God, to reveal life under the sun, without the sun. And then other keywords or phrases or profit, vexation of spirit. So this book shows the futility of experiencing pleasure, accumulating possessions, achieving success as an end in itself. Ultimately, the purpose of life, Solomon in the conclusion says, is to fear God and keep his commandments. You know, and this struck me too in your presentations tonight, in Liz's presentation, in Esther and Jones. in the life of Solomon is just how diverse the Bible is. It's not just written by one man. I was just thinking about the difference between like the Bible and the Quran. You know how the Quran is just written by one person, but the Bible is just so diverse. And then each book is so unique, like Esther, you know, the name of God isn't even mentioned. And then you have Proverbs, which is a book of wisdom, and Ecclesiastes is a life, you know, what is life about? And really, Ecclesiastes is almost written from the perspective of a man not right with God, looking for pleasures in all the things of this world. But then at the end, he said, you know what? None of that gives pleasure. Fear God and keep his commandments. So the Bible is truly an amazing, amazing book. Okay, this is the closing thoughts on page 34. I have the outline there. The temptation of something better. The temptation to do something is always stronger than the realization of its consequences. Without God, nothing satisfies. Should be nothing satisfies. That should be an S, not a D. Okay, and I know I'm going real fast here. Okay, so the Song of Solomon. Spurgeon, I just have a quick quote of Spurgeon. He said, it is a book of deep mystery, not to be understood except by the initiated. This book stands like the tree of life in the midst of the garden. No one will ever be able to pluck its fruit and eat of it until he has been brought to Christ, past the sword of the cherubim, led to rejoice in the love that has delivered him from death. It's an eloquent statement. Song of Solomon. So I just have a few blanks here, actually. So the purpose of Solomon is to show forth God's view of, you know what, that should be love and the physical relationship. I think I missed some blanks here. I don't think I have them all on the screen. And then B, so the first one, A and B, to show forth God's view of love, and then allegorically to show forth God's love for his people, for his chosen people. Okay, so B is right, chosen people. And then, oops.
Pastor, what is A? Can you repeat the answer for
So
A?
A is love. A is love.
Okay.
God's view of love. Yeah, that's wrong. Literally, that's wrong. But B is right, to show forth God's love for his chosen people. So, you know, the problem with the book of Solomon, or I say the problem or the challenge in interpreting it is, do we interpret it literally as a love story, or do we interpret it more allegorically of God's love for his people? You know, so that, and both are true, I believe. And it's, you know, it's probably difficult to keep that perfect balance in our interpretation of the book of Song of Solomon. So, unique features. This book has always been interpreted various ways. One, a human love story, the beauty of marital love. That's and then two is Israel is the bride, God is the bridegroom. Or three, the church is the bride, Christ is the bridegroom. Probably you can interpret it both as well. The individual believer is the bride, Christ is the bridegroom. So there's different ways to interpret Solomon. And then just real quick, lastly, most believe that the three main characters in this book are Solomon, the Shulamite, and the daughters of Jerusalem. But others say that the man in the story who loves the Shulamite isn't Solomon, and that actually Solomon's trying to steal the girl from this shepherd. So there's different ways of looking at it. Others say that the main characters are King Solomon, the Shulamite, and a shepherd to whom the Shulamite has given her heart. And Solomon is seen as a rival to the real shepherd, a lover of the Shulamite. I probably don't see it that way. I'm probably more traditional and see it more letter B, but Okay, and you could just read over the rest of the notes. I will send you a study guide for what I would want you to know on these books. We just gave you the blank so fast tonight. So, any questions? Did everybody get all the blanks? Or does anybody need help with anything there?